busing kids actually help them increase their performance.
The desegregation order was to offer equitable opportunity for good teachers and materials.
Forced busing, also known as desegregated busing, was a practice assigned to transport students to school while desegregating them as well. It was considered mandatory in the 1970s under federal court to apply these busing plans to school districts.
The change from the River City Mall by the demonstrators had been made at the request of Police Chief John Nevin. A portion of the group returned to 6th and Broadway and began picketing again. Part of the group was separated and moved to the Brown Education Building at 4th and Broadway. There they took seats in the street and began to block traffic. Their presence attracted people inside the Brown Building, and a series of
It was specifically for schools with a student enrollment with more than 50% non-whites attending their school. Forced busing was opposed by many, but the place having the strongest resistance was most definitely Boston.
Charlestown had its own period of civil unrest at about the same time as the troubles erupted in Derry. In September 1975, many people felt that the Second Battle of Bunker Hill commenced when Judge Arthur Wendell Garrity ordered the integration of Charlestown High School in a misguided attempt to bring racial parity to the schools.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
I don't think our children should be bused to Roxbury.
Why should I go there? I got a school right across the street, one down the street and one up the street.
And I ain't putting her on no bus for nobody.
There were some 400 police in Charlestown today who spent much of the late morning hours dispersing crowds that gathered over and over again on the avenue and later, after school closed, on the other side of the Monument Hill.
Although forced busing seemed to be the worst thing you could possibly put your children through, not all results were negative. Some children didn't have a problem being educated with other races. Surprisingly, the young ones took it better than the adults did.
Governor Ronald Reagan set the stage today for another court test in California of busing to achieve school integration. He signed a bill to outlaw busing without the consent of the parents of each student. The very day the governor signed the anti-busing bill into law, the most extensive busing program ever undertaken in a city outside the South began in Pasadena, California. Here the court had ordered integration. 15,000 students were moved by bus, half of the youngsters who live in the district commuting to school today for the first time. There was some slight confusion. The youngsters generally seemed to like the new plan. More of them were in schools dominated by their own age group. Kindergarten through 3rd grade in one school, grades 4 through 6 in another, and so on. There were no racial incidents, no friction between the youngsters. Despite the calm on the campuses, the specter of buses is a major political...
Typical makeup of a class in Boston's Chinatown from 1953 on to about 1975, 1976, when busing began. This class, as you can see, was 100% Chinese. But after busing, this was the typical makeup of a class in Boston's Chinatown. And it was a very, very rich year, as I recall, because for the very first time, children of different races went to the same school and were in the same class day after day.
Forcing everyone to learn together also forced everyone to grow together. If desegregated busing never occurred, who's to say we would not have been segregated to this very day? Changing our learning environment changed who we were as a whole.